Hey guys, in this video I want to share with you an updated tools and products list that I use for interior maintenance detailing. It'll probably save you a ton of money and it's way simpler than you might think going into the detailing world. Now when I say maintenance client detailing, what I'm talking about is very simply a regular client. Any car that you see on some sort of regular basis, depends on your business, but some sort of regular basis, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, biannually, annually, or anything like that. Generally speaking, the tools and products I'm about to suggest are mostly for a car that you're going to see around monthly or maybe every 2 to 3 months. The first thing I want to highlight here are the Members Mark towels that are actually generic to Sam's Club, I believe, but you can get them off of Amazon in a pack of 36 and they're unbelievably inexpensive. They are basically my only interior towels I use because interiors can be so hard on towels. I don't see any reason in my detailing business to overspend in that particular area. Now, the next thing I want to highlight here is the little toothbrush that I'm using in addition to my detailing brushes. This is a double-sided toothbrush. One's got thicker bristles on it. The other one has thinner bristles. The reason why I'm highlighting this is because in a maintenance client detail, what I think most people underestimate is that yes, it's a lot easier, but you can see every single piece of dust. And so one of my favorite tools, because the car is so clean, one of my favorite tools is a toothbrush because I can, rather than using a steamer to kind of make a mess with some steam and water that I have to clean up to blow out the kind of edged in areas or the seam areas, I can take that toothbrush and knock out the dust and dirt really easily. And so it's something I use a lot, as you can obviously tell. Now, next, I want to talk about the work stuff detailing brushes. Now, to not belabor how much I love these brushes, the only thing I would say is in an interior detail, I have a thick one and I have a thin one. And generally, I have a dry and wet version of both of those. Most of the time, I only need the dry versions in a maintenance client detail. What I mean by dry is I never get it wet, so I'll use it to just knock the dust off certain things, clean out the seams, or something like that. Now, I want to highlight, of course, I use a magic eraser no matter what type of interior detail that I'm doing. The only place I will use a magic eraser on a maintenance client detail is on that lower kind of plastic running board area that gets naturally scuffed no matter how often you see a car. Now, I want to highlight the chemical I'm using here because I am using Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner. The two types of all-purpose cleaner that I use most of the time in my detailing business is either going to be Meguiar's APC or the P&S Interior Express Cleaner. I do, admittedly, use both of these kind of interchangeably sometimes. The primary difference is, and the only reason why I'm using it here is because I didn't have it on hand. I didn't have P&S Interior Express Cleaner on hand. The Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner is generally the most diluted chemical I will use in any maintenance interior process. The reason for that is, number one, it tends to be a stronger cleaner, and so you can dilute it just right out of the gate, a little bit more than average. Secondly, Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner can be kind of rough on interiors that are older and darker. This particular Lexus is not older, and it's in really good shape, and the plastics and leathers are all in good shape, which is part of why I'm using it here. The reason why I might suggest not doing that is because it can leave this white chalky residue in certain areas, and it's not because you're doing anything wrong. I've actually talked to Meguiar's about this, and they didn't have a great answer for me, but essentially they put it on not diluting the product enough. And I've run a bunch of experiments, and really no matter how much you do or don't dilute the product, if you're dealing with older, worn down interiors that generally are darker, a lot of times the leathers or the plastics are degrading, that's where you will see this white chalky residue show itself that basically just looks like this kind of chemical burn. And so if you want to be totally safe, use Meguiar's P&S Interior Cleaner when you're doing a maintenance client like this. The reason why I'm using Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner is what I just described, and I've used it a bunch, so I know kind of when it will happen and when it won't happen. Generally speaking, I will dilute it around 20 or 30 to 1 for an application like this. Now, in addition to that, I want to highlight an optimum no-rinse solution as a chemical that would also work for this type of maintenance interior. You can see how clean this interior is without me touching it. And what you see mostly me doing in this video is not deep cleaning anything, it's taking the tiny details that are really annoying to get and getting those things. That's what an interior maintenance detail turns into. Optimum No Rinse 1 capful with 32 ounces of distilled water is a great way to create this really awesome cleaner that's very gentle in an interior like this on leathers, plastics, those clear veneers, all that sort of stuff, and it leaves behind a really great finish, so you don't have to finish the car necessarily after you're done cleaning it. And so that's something I always like to use in addition to these cleaners if I can in certain interiors. Now, the next tool that I want to highlight here is a steamer. Yes, I will use a steamer on interiors, though for a lot of maintenance clients, and I don't show this too often these days, but I often just use an air compressor because it's so much easier. I am now a stationary detailer in my own studio, and so an air compressor is really easy for me to have because it's all set up. So for mobile detailers, I often suggest a steamer because it can kind kind of serve the same purpose of that high pressured air, and that steam can help move things around. But in a maintenance interior detail, you don't need that really high heat and water residue, basically, because you're not doing a bunch of cleaning. And so a lot of times it's easier to just use an air compressor because there's way less to clean up. Now, the last thing I want to highlight here, in any maintenance interior, I always keep some sort of diluted form or straight form of different products, mostly Scotchgard. So I will always keep like a gallon or 5-gallon thing of 3M Scotchgard with me that is dilutable with these details, that I can spray on all of the fabrics. So not including the leathers, of course, the plastics. I'll use a simple multi-purpose dressing for the interior for those areas, but I always protect the fabrics for a maintenance client. The reason is, not only is it just an added value to them, but secondly, it's way easier to keep a maintenance car on my schedule looking fabulous if I'm always protecting it. A lot of detailers don't understand, but the true, let's say, like secret of a maintenance client is the protection. It's not the detailing. And so the more I can protect the interior, the better. And so a couple different products I like for that. Number one, G-Technic Smart Fabric. It's fantastic, but it does tend to be a little bit more expensive. So you can buy on Amazon a gallon size of the 3M Scotchgard, and that is dilutable. I dilute it with distilled water. I think about 1-to-1 is generally the dilution I will use. I need to check the directions on that. Again, it's been a long time since I've had to re-pour that because I pour it into a 5-gallon mixture because I use it so often for maintenance clients. But generally, I do about 1-to-1. You can also use it full strength. That's why I'm saying I need to check the directions on that, because you can use it full strength. The question is using it full strength going to protect things at a huge level, an order of magnitude better than diluting it 1-to-1, and therefore you're going to get more out of your money doing that in terms of the protection you're going to get. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, and really this video is for me telling you guys how to save on some costs for the pros. And so if you're a pro, you're hopefully getting some value from this, just from a guy who does this every single day of his life. And I wanted to give you guys a quick updated version of some of these things that I think will save you a lot of money. And it's really funny because the more I detail, the simpler things get. I have named so few tools and products in this video, and yet you could use all of them to do a maintenance client just like this and build an entire detailing business with recurring revenue off of maintenance clients alone, with basically no cost of product doing it this way. So hopefully that was helpful. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you got some value here and you're a pro detailer, hit the like button so that I know. And as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, remember, a great detailer is always learning, and I will see you guys in the next video.